Hello guys, how are you doing today? If this is the first time you're seeing me, hi, nice to meet you. My name is Paige Layle. You may or may not know me from TikTok. If you're not doing so already, feel free to check out my TikTok at Paige Layle. And while you're at it, you could follow my Instagram with the same name. And while you're at it, you could always like and subscribe down below if you really wanted to. Thank you so much. I am an autistic human being, and so over here we talk about autism and stuff. I'm sure a lot of you guys know my thoughts on ABA already. I mean, if judging by the fact that I'm an autistic person doesn't tell you. If you haven't seen my video about ABA, I'll link it up here in the eye. You can go watch that after. I'm always nervous to talk about ABA, and that's because there are so many people anytime you talk about ABA that need to come and be like, no, you're wrong actually. And I go, why, how am I wrong? See, the thing about autistic people, I don't know if you guys know this, and as myself, as an autistic person, I go based off facts. There's rarely ever just an opinion that's not backed up by anything coming from me. The only opinions that are aided in are my perspective of the facts, as in my morality. And so if a fact goes against my morals, still makes it a fact, but now my opinion is that that thing is bad. I mean, if you see the same thing, the same fact, but you have different morals that say that thing is good, okay. I don't know how to change your morals. So what I like to do is present facts and how those facts make me feel. If you feel a different way because of these facts, there's nothing I can do about it. But as always, when it comes to videos about ABA, I will not be reading the comments because I will not be defending this to you. I'm here to show you things. I want to react to these things. I think my opinion is one that is valued within the autistic community, which includes a lot of parents of autistic children, of which I find information like this quite helpful, especially coming from an autistic person. And whether you disagree with me or not, I think that the discussion deserves to be out there. And I'm actually quite done with being silent about things because I'm nervous of how people will react. I've come to realize that this is my platform and I can actually do what I want. And if people don't like it, that's okay, because it's not my job to make everyone like me. So there's my little disclaimer. I was perusing the internet like one does, and I was finding training sessions for ABA. If I watched them all, could I be a certified ABA tech? But anyway, watching these videos made me viscerally angry and upset. But all of the comments of these videos are saying, oh, that's so great, way to go, you're doing it great, blah, 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 everything's great. And it's kind of like obvious to me that everyone is saying these things towards and into the perspective of the analysis, of the behaviorist. You're doing a great job, you are getting things done, you are teaching them things, you are commanding people in a great way. But I, as an autistic person, was thinking about what it would be like in that situation for the child. And I don't know if a lot of people look at that perspective. And if they do and they just don't care, then I don't know what to say. But I thought because these children didn't get a chance to speak their piece or have any opinion whatsoever on what they were doing, that I would be able to show you these videos and say my opinions really about what's going on, about how I would imagine the child be feeling in this situation. Now, disclaimer, of course, I'm not, any medical professional. I'm also not very good at reading body language or facial expressions. I am autistic. So I could be totally wrong, but I'm putting myself in the shoes of the child, and if this were me, especially given their feedback to these trials, I'm coming up with a fact-based opinion of how I imagine they would be feeling given the evidence that is provided. So feel free to keep watching and see what I think the children are feeling during these ABA trials.
First video in the series.
You know it's already gonna be gross when it's puzzle pieces everywhere.
Distinct components.
Nice sitting. Good girl.
No. First, red flag. Why are you touching a child? I don't know if this is a me thing. Don't touch children. Why would you manipulate a child's body in any way? But also, the hands on the lap. Why? What was so wrong about having your hands literally anywhere else? You do, as the adult. I don't understand.
With the SD, or discriminative stimulus.
Do this. Oh,
This is the instruction given by...
Do this. What? If someone said to me, do this, I'd say, pardon me? What did you just say to me? What was the purpose of do this? It's just like, hey, follow my lead. How good are you at following instructions when you're being forced to do so?
Next, the therapist either waits for the child to respond
Just rips it out of her hand.
or provides some help in the form of a prompt.
How many times did she just grab her hands, put them in the lap? Don't fucking touch me, especially as an autistic person. Don't touch me.
If needed. Finally, once the child has responded,
You know what this sounds a lot like? Dog training. You know what they call that? They don't call dog training, making your dog less autistic. They call it obedience training. It's training to see how well my dog is at listening to instructions and following instructions. And of course, in order to follow those instructions correctly, she needs to know how to do the task at hand. and those tasks she didn't already know off the bat. They had to be taught. Or in an autistic child's case, oftentimes they know what you're saying, they know what you're asking, but it's a brain and body disconnect. They can't make their body do that at that moment.
Child is given reinforcement, a reward for a correct response.
Wait, I was gonna say, you see her nose up there? Wait for this girl to freaking hold her arms down. Like, what's the point of that? Why? Don't touch children's hair!
Or a correction for an incorrect response.
I'm already mad, a correct or an incorrect response. See, again, this is obedience training. You responded incorrectly. That doesn't happen in society. You don't have conversations with people and they go, nope, I'm punishing now. I'm withholding reward from you now because you responded incorrectly. Oh, no, you move your hands. We're done with this conversation. Nope, mad. I don't like when people touch children. I don't like people thinking that just because they're small, you can move them and put them where you want to go. These children deserve body autonomy. We all do. One thing about ADA that bothers me, not just the physical manipulation constantly of children's bodies. Do this. They do it, you get rewarded for it. They did not have a say. Well, they didn't have to do it. Well, if they don't do it, they get withheld a reward or a punishment. Like electric shock, that's still used in some places. Cool. It doesn't matter whether they want to do the action or not. They want the reward. So they'll do whatever action you want them to freaking do for the reward. But none of it's about consent whatsoever. A large portion of people that are sexually abused are disabled people. For these reasons. People think that they can take advantage and manipulate disabled people all they want. It's clear here that it's ingrained in society. It's not just a perverted person thing. It's also a lady who's trying to teach this boy. She just gets to physically manipulate him, tell him what to do, and reward him if he complies. That's quite terrifying when you think of setting up your children for success in the adult world. I definitely do not want my children, when I have them someday, to follow commands, especially from a stranger, and to allow someone to touch them whenever, wherever. And if they don't comply, if they don't allow them to be touched in that way, then they will be punished.
Do this.
No! The child is doing it, and nope, you're not doing it right. I'm going to grab you and move you physically. Did the child learn anything about you having to move them? Because I feel like if you are constantly touching the child and manipulating their body, they're going to assume that anytime there's a problem, you will manipulate their bodies. But I also don't know how learning to do this or whatever the frig dance she did is imperative to a person's success. That's a very weird exercise other than to show that my child is compliant.
All right, good trying. I like how hard you're working.
Good trying.
You are super.
A good SD must follow several
No,
guidelines.
why did you do that? This is too much touching of children. And I find it quite bizarre that you would grab an autistic child from behind while he was occupied doing something else and start tickling him and touching him and holding him like literally a baby. Who are you to be doing this to the child? I know ABA therapists are like, well, we develop personal bonds with the children. I have lunch monitored, bus monitored, babysat, I've nannied, I've homeschooled multiple children. I've taught them dance. I've done lots of things with lots of children, and there's not a time where that is appropriate. I don't understand why we're allowing that to be appropriate here. I do understand it's because they're autistic children and therefore subhuman. It's highly inappropriate, I think, and also uncomfortable as an autistic person. Don't disrupt me. Don't grab me. Do not fucking touch me. Do not tickle me.
All SDs should be clear and consistent.
I would appreciate all direction to be clear and consistent, but I still don't like where this is going.
They should be delivered in a voice slightly louder than a normal speaking tone.
Why? Why? To assert dominance or authority?
Now we will demonstrate what a good SD looks and sounds like.
Do this. Way to go! Wonderful!
You're so good at complying to my commands, even though you have no say in this. You have absolutely no consent. You did a stupid thing that I just made up, and that's fabulous of you. We're gonna create a trauma bond now, where you have to do what I say, and you will do it because you trust me. This is what I do to my dog, and that is called obedience. That is because I've been the one to train her to do that thing. I know that a lot of ABA therapists have a close bond and connection with the child or the kiddo. You, as an ABA therapist, are a complete stranger. In what world is it a good thing for your child to listen to whatever anybody tells them to do? Like, this is Ella Enchanted.
Touch half. Oh, that sounds so neat.
Right.
Touch this thing, and now not only are you not going to do it, I'm going to do it for you. That's so weird. Why would we don't do this to people? I vividly remember someone trying to do this to me when I was in a similar thing when I was in primary school. Grabbed my hand because I was like, what the heck? Grab my hand and do it. I said, don't touch me. I fully know what you're saying. This is completely useless.
Do this. Good girl. Do this.
Do this.
Marvelous. Do this.
Do we see that this child is clearly in distress and wiping her eyes, is clearly very tired, and no one's taking her needs into account? That child is complying because she realized that the only way that she can get through this is if she complies.
Amazing! Let's go play!
Why would you knock all of the things over and make her knock all of the things over at the end? That is very loud. That is a disruption of order that I personally would find quite frustrating, especially that you made me do that. There's never any account of what the child would like to do. And also a lot of not autistic friendly things are happening.
A prompt is some form of assistance to help ensure that the child responds correctly. The next step is the gradual removal of the prompt. This occurs once the therapist believes the skill being taught has been learned.
What skill is being taught or learned here? Do what I do. Are you teaching them a way to communicate? Are you teaching them about their body and their expressions and how to self-regulate and about rules of society and appropriate and inappropriate ways to react to other people, how to prevent meltdowns, calm themselves down from meltdowns, how to use an iPad to communicate? Do what I do. What skill is being taught besides compliance and obedience?
The therapist must decide before delivering an SD whether or not to prompt, and if so, to deliver the prompt immediately after the SD. Either the child responds correctly and reinforcement is delivered, or the child responds incorrectly and a corrective procedure is applied.
Corrective procedure to how a child responds to your commands. This is weird.
The second principle of reinforcement is that it should be enthusiastic and involved. If you are excited and enthusiastic when delivering the reward, the child will enjoy the reinforcement more, and that will lead to better learning.
Enjoying the reinforcement more leads to better learning. This is exactly what I do to my dog. She has a bunch of different rewards that I give her. Sorry for the disruption in appearance and also possibly ankle. I just realized I was wearing my corset for like way too long and I wanted to take it off, so hope that's okay.
Bouncing neurons or hugs as rewards for correct responses.
A hug is a reward.
If the child enjoys these things, they can be wonderful reinforcers. Another useful reinforcer is task avoidance. Ending the task at hand can be very rewarding for many children. Removing the teaching materials from the table, throwing away quiz cards as they are finished, or allowing the child to get up and leave.
Oh my god. You know what's bad when a reward is to stop doing it? Did you see that little girl literally yawning and rubbing her eyes? And she's so exhausted. They're like, hey, well, you know what's a good reward? Stop doing the thing. They said out loud, autistic children often don't like what we do. A reward is to stop, but then at the same time they'll go, oh, they love it. They love it. And they recommend that kids do 40 hours a week of this shit. As an adult woman, I don't work 40 hours a week. And they want these kids to not only go to school, but then do 40 hours a week of a fucking therapy where the reward is to stop doing the therapy?
Another important type of reinforcer is verbal praise. Verbal praise is a bit different from the reinforcers mentioned so far, because most children with autism will likely be indifferent to verbal praise at first. However, verbal praise is very commonly used in our society today. Therefore, it is important to teach children with autism to learn how to enjoy it.
I hate that. You're going to enjoy what I tell you to enjoy, okay? We're not going to praise you in a way that you feel praised. We're going to praise you in a way that we want you to feel praised by. It's important for autistic children to enjoy it. I don't know about y'all, but often if I don't enjoy something, doing it more and more doesn't make me enjoy it more. But it does make me more numb to it. And also in a way of knowing that if I react negatively to something and people continue to force me to do it, I will probably likely react less and less to that thing. That does not mean that I am now okay with that thing or that I enjoy that thing. It probably means that I've realized that my distress and whatever emotions I was displaying did not matter. So I learned to accept what was happening to me, because it's clear that whoever was in charge of me or taking care of me did not or does not care about how I feel about things. And if I put up a fight or if I show negative emotions, it just prolongs the activity that I do not want to happen. And it may seem like I like it. That's because now I'm numb to it. A child who is learning that their body's not their own, their thoughts are not their own, what they like is not true. We have to change what you like, but also my emotions don't matter. That is such a weird rule. You must always include verbal praise with any award. Why?
Touch, shoe. Oh, way to go.
I don't like that at all. Grab her hand, make her do the thing, then I'm also gonna shove a treat in your mouth for doing it. Yeah! She didn't have to literally do anything in that moment. It was literally the therapist making her do things and being like, congratulations, you let me manipulate your body in whatever way I wanted to.
Working. Good work. I've got more crackers.
By consistently pairing verbal praise such as food, toys, or physical touch, the children will slowly learn to
Hold your hands like this. Also, I'm going to fix you so we can correct your posture. Pardon?
such as food, toys, or physical touch. The children will slowly learn to enjoy it.
The children will slowly learn to enjoy it. Nope, I don't think that's how children work. You hate shrimp? Just keep eating shrimp and you'll learn to like it. You force me to do something over and over again. Obviously, I'm going to react differently to the stimuli as it continues. And actually, probably I'm gonna hate shrimp even more because now I've had to eat it every day. This logic is quite flawed. Thinking that behaviorism is an exact science anyway is quite flawed. Hey, it's editing Paige here. Just something I wanted to add. Using food as a reward just kind of makes me uncomfortable. You did something good, now you get food. The autistic population already has an immense problem with eating disorders. And I think that that is aided as well in the idea that you need to do something in order to deserve food. I think that could be quite dangerous with children's relationships with food and fueling their bodies. I need to prove myself, to audition, to play by their rules in order to be worthy of love and affection. And the ability to make my own choices, the ability to stop doing this. Children should not feel the need to perform a certain way to get these rewards. They deserve food, they deserve love, affection, and bodily autonomy, whether their behavior is correct or not. If you don't believe your child deserves those things, then don't have children.
Shoes.
I don't understand what this is. Shoes. Well, now I know that you know what a shoe is. You could say, hey, jump. And if an autistic child doesn't jump, that doesn't mean they don't know what the word jump means. That doesn't mean they don't know how to jump. That doesn't mean that they don't understand what you're asking of them to do. 9 times out of 10, they just can't make their body do the thing. This child likely knows what a shoe is and is probably quite bored with this activity. Shoe. I know what a shoe is, Mary.
Wonderful!
Like, why is she yelling?
Shoes.
What about offering a child to make a mistake? The child did not learn to correct themselves or know what to do in that situation if they do make a mistake. That's quite weird. That's like one of the main things about learning. And isn't that what this whole rigmarole is supposed to be about, is learning? I understand that this is a child, but the consistent baby voice, this is not a toddler. Like, the child's over it too. The child's like, why are you talking to me like I'm 8 months old?
Counters and tokens tend to be used when children are slightly more advanced in their treatment programs.
Treatment programs. Ugh. When it comes to Macy and dog training, it's not a treatment plan on how to make Macy, my clearly autistic dog who like doesn't know what a shoe is, making my dog less autistic.
They allow us to teach
Oh
children.
my god! You as a child are coloring incorrectly. Fuck off. You would think as an ABA therapist too, you would appreciate them, developing fine motor skills. But no, I'm gonna grab your hand and make you color in a correct way. I bet these people would make excellent dog trainers.
Now that we have explained what reinforcers are,
Too much.
let's talk about
Too much
why we
stretching.
use them, the correctness of a response.
Put your hands in your lap now. She didn't give any guidelines to how long or how much the clapping should be, but then he was like, no, you have to put your hands in your lap. Why the hands in the lap? How about if you see someone moving their hands that are in their lap, mind your own business.
The reason we use reinforcement is to motivate the child to learn.
Learn what a shoe is.
Our goal is to make therapy so reinforcing that the child looks forward to this time of day as the time of day when great things happen.
That also is a thing in love bombing, emotionally unhealthy, traumatic, dangerous relationships. It's a manipulation tactic. It's great.
The focus of this video is generalization. We begin by defining generalization and giving some examples across 4 areas.
Oh, and it makes me mad. Like, people can just, no, don't take advantage of a child's body. Even if I'm in a meltdown and I'm non-vocal, there is no way in hell anyone around me would dare to fucking grab my hand and manipulate my hand and make me do something. Absolutely not.
Once a child learns a skill, we consider it to be generalized when the child is able to perform the skill across new and novel situations.
This is gonna be exactly like dog training. I swear, wait for it, it will be.
Should be flexible and widely used in natural life situations. For example, a child should be able to count blocks while sitting on the floor with a therapist, or count baking ingredients while cooking with his or her parent.
What? Those are 2 completely different things. I would think that they would say count blocks sitting on the floor, or also count blocks standing up at the table. Or count blocks. Oh, their similar thing was the counting. The counting was the thing. I thought of it as counting blocks was the thing. Or counting baking ingredients. I'm like, that's a different medium. That was me being autistic.
While sitting face to face with a therapist in a quiet room.
What's your mother's name?
Temple.
Good boy.
Weird. I maybe don't necessarily want my child to be forced and be trained to respond with my name when an adult stranger asks them what it is. That could be dangerous.
When asked by a peer while playing at the park.
Children should not owe you a response in general. No one should. That's people-pleasing and dangerous. There are people that don't deserve that information.
Children need to learn to generalize skills that they have learned across 4 areas.
If you believe in Erickson's theory of child development, there's 8 stages, and I believe it's a 2nd or 3rd stage, so younger than these children here. Let me help you. No, I've got it. I'm doing it myself. Don't call me little. I'm big. I'm a big boy. You know, things like that. And one thing that parents often do, and I saw that therapist struggling to not do there, they will make the child do it the right way and not in a way where the child learns how to do it right. I've had children that I'm like, oh, do you need help putting on your snow pants? Nope, I've got it, you know? And they're putting on their snow pants and they're taking a slow time. Am I going to grab them and force them on them? No, because this child would be very upset and angry. They want to be independent. I will wait, and if they need my help, they can tell me if they need my help. They want this autonomy and they deserve to have it. I'm not going to touch their body when they told me not to.
Stimuli and responses.
It literally is exactly like dog training. When I was training Mace to be a service dog, and she's not a service dog anymore, she's still like a service dog in training, technically. In this test, it was, would Macy still respond to commands? Can she sit inside and outside and in a busy place? Like, can she do it while she's running? Can she do it while someone else is yelling at her? If I tell her to, will she listen to other people's commands? When I told her to tap on the shoe, she did. What does that teach her? Obedience. I personally do not listen to anyone who tells me what to do. Because I have this thing and it's called boundaries. If I have a child, I would love to be able to hug and kiss my child, for example. But if I taught them to obey to me when I told them to give me a hug or a kiss, not respecting like if they don't want to do the thing, no, they have to do the thing or else it's an incorrect response. They have to do the thing, and not only that, but they have to do the thing when if anybody asks them to do it, including a stranger. If you teach children that they are not in charge of themselves, other people will be in charge of your children. It makes me so upset. That's gonna take years of rewiring their brains to learn to be independent. This is not teaching children to develop these skills so that they will be able to live a better life. What are these children going to do when their parents die? If all they've known their whole life was to do whatever their parents told them. Are we teaching them emotional regulation, boundaries, relationships? Are we teaching them things about themselves, how their brains work, how they can calm their brains, what they can do during a meltdown? We're teaching them to tap on a shoe because we told them to.
The next area that a child needs to generalize skills across is stimuli. The child should be able to perform skills with an endless variety of materials. For example, when learning emotions, a child should be able to identify emotions on faces drawn on flashcards.
I was like, fabulous. Oh my God, are we going to talk about like how emotions feel in the body? How you can like know what emotion you are feeling? No, it's facial expressions on these stupid little cards. Really, ABA therapists, this is not learning emotions. This is called memorization. Do we really think that this is what is helping children decipher emotions in other people? Why is deciphering emotions in other people more important than deciphering emotions within themselves? I also think that we don't need to encourage people to read facial expressions as much as we should encourage people to be honest with each other, with how they're feeling. It's not my job to read your mind. And as an autistic person, not only can I not read your mind, I cannot read your face. And I don't care to learn to, because every single person's face has a different expression for emotions. It's not universal. And these little stupid pixelated, weird, graphic, comic book cards are not going to help the child figure out what emotions are.
Give me happy. Happy.
Perhaps you just read the word happy.
I feel bored. I feel bored. Pretty nice trying.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I think that she feels sad. And then he said mad, and I was like, that, I could see that. Bored, I'm like, I could also see that. Oh, don't.
How do I feel? Bored. That's amazing. Wow.
I don't think he enjoyed that touching.
Mad. She's very mad. She dropped her ice cream.
If you are not communicating something with me in a way that I have addressed I need communication in, that is not my problem. You didn't know I was sad. Well, you didn't tell me you were sad. You should be able to tell how I feel. Is that a thing that anyone does really in real life? And even as a neurotypical person, there's no way that neurotypicals can guess how a person's feeling based off their facial expressions 100% of the time.
For example, they should be able to color with a wide range of crayons, markers, and pencils.
I would imagine then, if this needs to be said, there must be an issue in the ABA field of children not being able to color in different markers. I would assume whether that's a fine motor skill deficit or if that's a sensory issue. Any sensory input that is distressing to an autistic person, I disagree that we should continue expressing the stimuli to the autistic person to eliminate eventually the negative response to the stimuli. Because when I am taking something out of the oven and it's very hot, it burns my hands. What I could do if I was taught by an ABA therapist, I could just continue, even though it's causing me pain, which sensory issues cause us pain, just continue to be grabbing the hot thing out of the oven every time. Eventually, you know, I'll develop calluses on my hands and it will hurt less. Does that mean that everything's fine? My hands are now just like adapted to grabbing hot things. I don't have any scars from having to push through something that's painful for me. Or what I could do is put on oven mitts. But if something's hurting your child, why would you keep making them go through it?
When teaching how to count, we may start by having a child hand us 4 blocks.
The problem there lies in autistic people know things. Autistic people take in what you say, what you do. It's a very weird fallacy to assume that an autistic person is thinking what they are showing you with actions. As a random example in all my life, show your work in math. I never showed my work because I looked at the problem, I did it in my head, boom, boom, boom. And, you know, my teachers will say, well, you don't know how to do this question. You probably copied the answer. Nope, I know how to do it. Okay, show me. I don't know how to show you. It's in my head. I don't know how to show you the things in my head. I can't do it. And so I would constantly get penalized for not showing my work, but I didn't know how to show my work. There's a lot of things going on in our head that we don't express, and also that we cannot express, especially autistic children. There's a disconnect between your body and your mind, what you are thinking, what you want to do, and what your body is capable of doing at the time. You may think like, I'm teaching the child how to count. Maybe what's happening is over time the child is working so hard at having their mouth form the words of the numbers to count, but that doesn't mean that you taught them how to count. It doesn't mean they don't know what counting means.
Another example of response generalization can be seen when teaching pretend play skills.
What? We are teaching children how to play pretend? Autistic children are playing pretend in the wrong way. Why does play have to be organized in a way that neurotypicals deem worthy? I'm intrigued at the rest of this.
But before we are finished, the child should be able to spontaneously create new and unique pretend situations.
New and spontaneous? Why? Why are neurotypicals so weird? Why police the way children play? That's fucking weird, man.
Match.
Yay! Let's do another one.
Thing.
Do the duck. We've never done the duck. Right? We've never done it.
Match.
Yay! Every time they clap, he's plugging his ears. And they're like, this is a reward, and this is something that we're gonna do. He doesn't like it. I looked at the comments and someone said, oh, it looks like he doesn't like the clapping very much. Would you consider doing something else? And the owner of this video said, oh, it's okay, he's gotten used to it by now. If you're praising somebody, why do they have to get used to your praise? It sounds like that's not a praise then.
Does ABA therapy work in the real world? The short answer is yes, and I can prove it.
No, listen, dude, ABA therapy doesn't work. Yeah, for what you want, which is compliance and obedience. It does that very well. That's what the whole science of behavior is based upon. You can't just base a child, especially an autistic child, off their behavior. He's showing ABA works because look at now she can go to a supermarket. Take a look though.
Abby, can you ask him for a cookie?
Notice how she's being guided by her mother again. That's not an independent thing. That's very ABA, right? You're gonna do what I make you do because you're my puppet and I'm in control.
Tell him cookie. Good job. Chocolate chip, please.
Again, do what I tell you to do, not what you want to do.
Y'all have a good one.
Let's go. Get the cart. So we're going to use the cookie as a reinforcer to get Abigail to push a cart and help with grocery shopping.
I, as an adult autistic person, still do not go to grocery stores, nor do I push carts. I order food online, or if I must go to a grocery store, you will find me in a lot more sensory protective gear than this young girl. It breaks my heart for her. A grocery store is a lot of sensory input for me. I can only imagine how she's feeling right now. Did you guys ever watch that one episode of Big Bang Theory where Sheldon is trying to train Penny to speak in a lower register? And every time she does, he gives her a treat. And you know, a lot of people were like, quite funny because Penny doesn't see what's happening to her, but Sheldon sees that he is, you know, manipulating her to do what he wants. It's funny how people can see that and know that that's weird and wrong. I found it quite funny because Sheldon is, you know, a canon autistic character doing that to Penny, who's a neurotypical. But when it's the opposite, right? When it's a neurotypical doing it to an autistic person, everyone's like, correct, look at them. Do as I say.
Put it in the cart.
Do as I say again.
Nice. So we put the backpack on Abby so that we can use it as a handle. There's a handle on the back, and if she starts to elope, we can grab.
The only time I would ever grab a child is if they were to be put in physical danger, if they continue on the path that they were going. There have been plenty of times that I have seen autistic children that are non-vocal, and a lot of parents go like, oh, they don't know anything, you know, they don't know. But you treat them like they don't know. But here's the thing, oftentimes they do. If you care to explain things, it makes sense. If things make sense, we're more likely to follow them. There was one child who continuously, every time he would grab an umbrella, he would want to hit people with it. And they were laughing about it like, oh, it's just a thing, you know? And I'm like, oh, that doesn't seem like a great thing, you know? Like, that's not the best thing. They also have not provided him with any methods of communication, any AAC, and he's constantly treated as a child, even though now he's in his early teens. And that shit frustrates me so much. But then, you know, I'm sitting there and this boy grabs an umbrella and proceeds to start trying to hit me with it. And what did I do? Was I going to allow that? Was I going to grab him and like manipulate him or his body in any way? No. And even though they say like, oh, he's got a mind of a 2.5-year-old, he doesn't know what you're saying. I looked at him and I went, ouch! That hurt. That hurt. I don't like that. Please don't hurt me. And for a second, he was like, this is funny. I'm getting a reaction. Allow me to do it again. I said, oh, no, thank you. Don't touch my body, please. I need you to stop. And he was like, oh, what if I did that to you? What if I took the umbrella and I hit you with it? Would that hurt? And he went, and I'm like, that hurts. No more. You know what he did? He put the umbrella away. He got it. He was like, yeah, facts. Okay, yeah. He didn't want to hurt people. I have autonomy over my own body, and when I tell someone not to touch it, I need them to listen to me. But we also can't enforce that if we don't teach the child that they are responsible for their own body, and they can have their own physical boundaries. There's an example, anyway.
Can you get crackers? Show me cracker. No, cracker. Remember?
Did you just see her, like, look over at her mom, like, did I do it? That's just... oh, baby girl. I'm sorry that you have to work for your mother's approval. The more we shop, the less compliant she becomes. Did y'all see that? They said it. I wonder why. Because you're in a grocery store. Grocery stores are so much sensory input, dude. And she's got zero way of being able to block out any of the sensory input. But I assume that's purposeful. I assume that she will be punished for her lack of sensory regulation. She clearly is not a fan of what's going on. We care about the behavior, right? Not the needs, not the feelings, not what's going on inside. We care about what is being expressed. We care about the parts that impact us directly. Notice how there's not a time where the needs are ever met or ever listened to. There's not a time where the parents go, I hear you, I see you. There's no tools given to, make this an easier time for this child. And what do we know about how that impacts child development? She doesn't even have to do this as an adult. I know how distressing this is and how overstimulated she is and so little control. Stimming and grabbing things and doing her own, she's trying to regain some kind of control back. And every time she tries to gain any kind of control, that's taken away from her. She's physically manipulated away from that situation.
You gotta stand up.
If your child is getting sleepy and tired, the reason why babies sleep so much is because they need to in order to process anything that they have just seen or done throughout the day. There's way too much going on for a baby to stay awake for the whole day. They need to constantly be going to sleep so that their brain can categorize that and learn more from it. In autistic people, so much is happening with us all the time. Our brain is and so we are much more prone to napping. This child is exhausted. She's had to do so much. She's had to do so much today. We're not going to prevent that. We're going to force her to go through with it. Doesn't mean we've changed anything in her head though. Doesn't mean she's okay with it. It just means that she knows that we don't care about what she feels.
Come on. Okay.
Yeah. She's got no control. This sucks. I would run away too.
Oh.
We are reinforcing the behavior when she starts to misbehave. What? You're seeing this as a sign of defiance. You're seeing this as a misbehaving, I'm purposely doing something to make you upset. She's not choosing to do these things. This is something that she needs to do to regulate her body, her system, her environment. If we leave when she starts to misbehave, we're reinforcing the behaviors. She is not misbehaving. She is not choosing to do this. She's not choosing to be overstimulated. And by leaving when she's distressed, by meeting her needs, and by doing something about the distressing thing in her life, you are reinforcing her that there are alternatives to this stress. You don't have to be. We can accommodate you. And not only that, then that learns for you to be able to be less distressed. You're gonna get the same behavior either way, whether you accommodate and have the child be happy and also have their needs met and also have a better attachment with their parent because they know that their parent cares about their wants and their needs. And then they're also going to know to label those own emotions within themselves and know that there are things that they can do to better themselves so they don't get upset. Or you could force them to continue to do it anyway. And by doing that, you're not changing anything about the child inside. That child's still gonna wanna have a meltdown or a shutdown in these situations, but they're gonna try their fucking hardest not to because they know that you don't give one shit. Do you think that she seriously wants to, lay on the grocery store floor?
She starts to lose it at the end, so we just have to work through that, but she's come a long way.
Good job, Mom.
Thanks.
Abby did not seem happy whatsoever. Is that something to be congratulated for?
Than just sculpting the behavior of a child on the spectrum.
Oh, he said it there. Sculpting.
It also teaches her life skills. It teaches her
life skills. This is where we disagree, sir. As you said, it's about compliance. It's about behavior. What life skills did she learn here? If I were in these situations, I would teach my child how to create a grocery list, how to see what groceries we need, how to know what groceries you need. When you go to a grocery store, how to see the signs and know this is what you need, whatever groceries, how to accommodate yourself to prevent overstimulation. These things that you need to do to regulate yourself. Because the problem is, one day, that mother's going to die. Then what's your daughter going to do? Who's she going to listen to? What she's being taught in ABA is how to listen to someone tell them what to do.
how to set things down in a cart.
How to set things down in a cart. Obviously, we start with a child that's clearly distressed.
All right, that's nice now. Listen to teacher. Here, say more left.
Let's point out that this child is crying. This child's looking at the cameraman, asking for help. Hands wanting to regulate herself and her system, but they're constantly being grabbed, being touched. Don't fucking touch me.
Yeah, here. More more, left, more, here, more, left.
It's clearly upset and no one fucking cares. They're like, we're continuing with the exercise. If my child was disrupting me or something while I had to do something, I'm gonna do something to let them know, like, even if, like, we'll talk about this in a second, I hear you, I understand. I need to do this one thing and we'll get back to this. This child's upset. I don't understand where you think that autistic people are manipulative. Like, why would she be doing this to fake it? Why would anybody want to cry in front of everybody?
More, left. Very good. Again, say more, left.
The little girl was defeated. She looked around, no one helped her, no one cared, she was crying. She said, the only way I'm gonna get out of this is if I do what he says, so allow me to do what he says. And congratulations, I fucking did it. Now I'm back to crying because this still sucks and I still hate this.
More, left. Again, say more, left.
She can't even regulate herself with her own body. And I wonder, like, why is she crying? Is she overwhelmed? Is she exhausted? Is she sleepy? Is something bothering her? Is this too much? Like, does she have a tag on her shirt? Like, what's bothering you? The fastest way to escape the situation was by complying. I wanted to show you one video of, this is a music therapist sharing how, like, easy to use calming strategies for autism. And I watched this and I was quite pleased with a good majority of what happened in this video. So please watch and let me point out some of those things. So this person is not a behavior analyst, they are a music therapist. I think that's quite interesting that the music they're playing is 60 beats per minute, which is the resting heart rate. It's totally not my resting heart rate. The child is clearly distressed and we are not dismissing that child's emotions.
I want to change. You want our boots off in here?
It's fine. You can have them off.
Go ahead, honey. It's okay. I'll be right there, okay?
The therapist here is not engaging physically with the child, which I think is a very correct and safe thing to do. The therapist is allowing the child to have the emotion and express it however they must at the time, and they're not invading the child's personal space nor their personal boundaries. But the child is still getting what they need to get done. But I also think that getting something done is less important than having the child be able to understand, experience, feel, adapt, change their emotions. I think that emotional regulation should be taught to children everywhere, but especially autistic children.
So that nice waves. Right there.
I love that they use low lighting and avoid fluorescence. Correct. Good. Yay. It's not hard to accommodate things. See how the child willingly sat down. I hope that this wasn't, an ABA thing that they've been trained to sit down. It seems like the child has a say, almost. Sensory accommodations! This is a very neat approach to this situation, to allow the child to regulate themselves in a little way. You're upset and I see that you're upset and you're allowed to be upset, and I will just, take a minute and hope that you can come back and join me when you're ready. This is something that my friends do a lot for me. That is definitely helpful because at some point I am going to have felt my emotion and now I'm focusing more on you and what you're doing, and that's something else, and that's something that now I'm not being cut off of my emotion to go and distract me and do something else. I've already felt my emotion enough that my body is adjusting to the situation that we're currently in. I also really appreciate that he is allowing her to stim. He's not touching her. Not once has he touched her. He has given her sensory accommodations. He's allowing the stimming to happen. After 30 more seconds, she begins to calm down and becomes more interactive. She did that herself. That's what's important. What a cool idea if you can get them to blow out the wand. This is actually something that is important. teaching the child a way for her to be able to communicate with others. Behaviorists will say everything's ABA, everything's behavior, whatever. So you will see that after more was signed, he started blowing bubbles, but also he's like, I want more. Okay, well, here's more bubbles, you know? And I'm gonna resort this to dog training again, but in this way, a little bit more of a positive thing. I don't want to just tell Macy what to do. Sometimes she has things that she needs to tell me. And so I gave her buttons to speak with. We have that method of communication where not only can I tell her what to do, but she can also tell me what she needs or what's going on. And if my dog can have dozens of buttons, then autistic children need to you gotta have some way of communicating. I think neurotypicals have a weird obsession with speech. Speech is not the only method of communication that's important. See, the child was just given a choice. She said, no, all done. He said, okay. The child is also in control of what they get to do. Obviously, you didn't have to teach them how to sign all done in this scenario. They've already applied that. It wasn't like a sign all done and then they did it and they were like, good job, you did great. This is a, what do you want to do? And she said, all done. That should show you already that autistic children know way more than they're showing you. Done with the videos. So those are all the videos I want to show you today. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of them out there. There's so many videos of like autistic children not having good times out there. And people feel like that's an okay thing to post and share to the internet and to the world. Yeah, but that's all from me today at this moment. Once again, thank you guys for listening and thank you for learning. No matter what your opinion is, I really appreciate you being here. What's the horse one? See you later, alligator, and a wild crocodile. I thought there was one about horses. Is there not one about saying goodbye with horses? I give up. Some horse analogy about saying goodbye. Thank you. I love you. Have a great day.